There's a new study out in the Journal of General Internal Medicine conducted by researchers at Harvard Medical School and Hunter College, and it looked into whether or not immigrants exploit the healthcare system in America. Now, conservatives tell us yes, but the reality is not only no, but in fact the numbers show the opposite. They're bolstering the healthcare system in America. So let me explain. They say, quote, undocumented immigrants contributed 2.2 and 3.8 billion more than they withdrew annually between 2000 and 2011 to a Medicare program known as the Hospital Insurance Trust Fund. The total contribution of their surplus was $35.1 billion. Unauthorized immigrants generated an average surplus of $316 per capita to the trust fund, while other Americans generated a deficit of $106 per capita. So if anything, the real moochers, the real leeches, the real parasites on the system, the people who are operating it in the red, would be all of the people that are not undocumented immigrants. So everybody else in America, all those good stand-up American citizens, man. Well, you guys are sucking more money out of the system while the undocumented immigrants are paying into the system. So the next logical question is, why is that? They go on to explain, undocumented immigrants contribute the most to the Hospital Insurance Trust Fund since they pay taxes with the jobs they have, sometimes on a borrowed or invalid Social Security number. Some immigrants also have valid Social Security numbers through the DACA program, which blocks deportation for some people, and contribute into Social Security taxes. Meanwhile, they typically don't benefit from the program. A law in 1996 imposed restrictions that barred undocumented immigrants from accessing Medicare benefits. While they can collect on Medicare if they ever legalize, about 1/3 of undocumented immigrants leave the U.S. So, in other words, they pay in, and they pay in a tremendous amount, but many of them don't get the benefits. And let's be clear, it also works like this with other government programs too, which is why it's so hilarious when a dumbass like Ann Coulter is like, oh, the immigrants come here, they just want our welfare. Well, did you know that they can't get welfare if they're undocumented immigrants? See how that works out for you. Go into a government office when you're not an American citizen, you just crossed the border, go into the office and say, can I have money, please? I'll fill out the paperwork where I need to put my Social Security number. I'll fucking wing it and see how it goes. It doesn't work like that. There are severe restrictions for social safety net programs for undocumented immigrants. Obviously. And again, because of the reasons I just explained, in some circumstances, they pay a lot into the system. They don't take that much out of the system. So they're running a surplus. So they're propping it up for everybody else. So you know what this does? And this is why this story is so important. It just busts up the stereotype of like, you know how they are. Them lazy Hispanics come into the country and they just take our money and screw us over. That's not true. It's just not true. And Vice did a great report on this recently where they said the jobs that a lot of undocumented immigrants are doing, it's not just a myth that Americans don't do them and don't want to do them. There was a conservative town that essentially deported all of their undocumented immigrants, and then they didn't have anybody to fill the fucking positions. And then when white people came and tried, they couldn't do it. They could. And look, you might, that's unfair to say that. It's not me saying it. It's the fucking Vice documentary that proved it. They documented it. They showed it. It's there. You can go watch it yourself, okay? It was on HBO not too long ago. It's probably online now. So the idea that they're taking all the government benefits, they're not. They're net paying into it, okay? So they're keeping it afloat. And the idea that they're taking the jobs that you want, they're not. They're not. So if anything, the stereotype should be the opposite. The stereotype's like, just like that Key and Peele skit where it's rednecks drinking non-alcoholic beer and they're talking about different groups of people and they say nothing but positive things. Yeah, it's like, you know how them Hispanics are. Hard working. They come in this country, they bust their ass for little pay, they keep up the social safety net, do jobs Americans don't want to do. Those are some good people there. Those are some good people. That stereotype turns out to actually be true. All the ones that conservatives think are true are bullshit, and that's a fact.